Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog where we discuss activity that goes on here with the BuzWeaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If this is your first time here to the channel, welcome. If you are on New Tech and are here on YouTube, thank you to all of you who continue to like, share, and comment. All of your help is greatly appreciated.
We start things off with the Atlantic. If you guys are OGs to the BuzWeaver channel or knew the establishment was working alongside the Democrats, then I want you to smash that like button right now so we can show the AI of YouTube that you guys are informed, you guys are shrewd, sober, coherent, and common sense thinking people. From March the 28th, 2020, we covered this here on the BuzWeaver channel. You are on the cutting edge right here on the BuzWeaver channel. I know what a lot of you say. Why in the world do you not have more subscribers? That's because we are suppressed. Conservative commentators are suppressed on the YouTubes. The Atlantic. Stay alive, Joe Biden. Democrats need little from the frontrunner beyond his corporeal presence. And what did people get? 81 million votes. And what did we get? The U.S. Sun. Poll disaster. Joe Biden's approval, I should say the establishment appointed President Joe Biden's approval, rating plummets to just 41% in latest poll aimed Afghan chaos and calls for his impeachment. Ladies and gentlemen, if Joe Biden, who has the entire legacy media behind him and the establishment, the entertainment industry, and all behind him, and he's at 41% in a latest poll, you know his real poll is probably about, we'll say conservatively, 31%. Joe Biden's approval rating has plummeted to just 41% following the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan, a new poll has revealed. 55% of people surveyed in the USA Today, USA Today, see, I don't like independent polls like that, or just single polls. I like an aggregate. Because here on Real Clear Politics, they use 12 different sites, like USA Today, like we were just looking at. But they use over 12 different ones. And they're showing his approval at 46.9 as of the 25th, as of today. But of course, as we've talked about, this is, of course, the glowing boy. This is their boy. The mainstream media, the establishment, this is their boy. The appointed, anointed one, like Obama. And he is at 46.9. So much for Joe's threats. Taliban ignore Biden's demand to let civilians into Kabul airport, and Westerners are beaten. U.S. airlifts more than 19,000 in 24 hours, and desperate Afghans cause a stampede at the airport and fears of an ISIS-K attack. That is the cushion is what the K comes. This is the region because they also have ISIS-L. I'm not sure whether or not the video is going to be demonetized because I mentioned them, but suffices to say, ISIS-K is just the province of this particular band of ISIS and, of course, the Taliban. On Twitter, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see the same Daily Mail post with this little tiny addition that I've added. During the negotiations with the Taliban, they tested the Trump admin by killing 2 Americans with a car bomb in Kabul. Trump responded with an A-10 strike that wiped out almost the entire Taliban leadership. They agreed to Trump's terms shortly thereafter. Because, as much as the left likes to pride itself on its sophistication, its elitism, its PhDs, its educated speakers, the Taliban is only focused on strength. They don't care about your pleasantries. They don't care about decorum. They don't care about pomp and circumstance. They want to know if someone is able to kick their ass. Okay? They don't care if Joe Biden waxes with his speeches or Obama waxed with his speeches. They didn't care. They just want to know whether or not they get their asses kicked. And they do when there's air support, which was removed, by the way. Part of the evacuation process was to remove the strongest part of what we were able to do in Afghanistan, and that is use air power, I should say. And that was a combination of United States, the Canadians, the French. I know the Germans are there. I don't know how much flying the Germans did, but suffices to say, as Biden has pointed out quite astutely, that the Taliban doesn't have an air force. So why did you take the air force out? But in a stunning typical display of the mainstream media here in the United States, CIA has launched clandestine ops to rescue Americans in Afghanistan. Well, do they not understand? Does the mainstream media not understand in the United States of America that the internet means World Wide Web? Meaning anyone on the internet in most countries, to include Afghanistan, can read United States mainstream media. And since Twitter didn't see fit to ban the Taliban from Twitter, they can simply go on Twitter and see this and see the post. And here it is. So not only is the Hill complicit, so is the Wall Street Journal, who reported that the CIA in recent days has begun covert operations to get Americans in and outside of Kabul out of the country, according to U.S. and other officials. Well, it's not very covert now. Not very covert now. The operations are reportedly utilizing American military helicopters and ground troops, but they are still under the CIA's jurisdiction, which is common for such missions. Well, you just told everybody what they were doing. How is this covert? How is this a top secret mission? Ridiculous. But you guys knew this. You guys already knew this because you follow the BuzWeaver channel. We're on the cutting edge. We're on the cutting edge of news here on the BuzWeaver channel. Suppressed and just pushed down in the algorithms and allowed to be pushed down by YouTube's prioritized users who are authoritative voices. The same authoritative voices who let the world know what they're doing in the CIA. The same authoritative voices that allow the Taliban to be on Twitter. Shifting gears here as we wind things down. OnlyFans drops planned adult ban. Will continue to allow adult activity content on the platform. Basically, in short terms, OnlyFans dropped the plans to allow for activity of adult performance from their services less than a week after the UK content creator subscription site had announced the changes, citing the need to comply with policies of banking partners, which was a complete farce. It was not true. It was not true. But it is important to note here, as you guys know who follow the BuzWeaver channel, that Laura Lomer, Lauren Southern, Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, and chair of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, have been banned from places like Patreon, Wells Fargo, and Chase Bank. Banned. That's very concerning, isn't it? When you can't use banking, when you have been banned from being able to access banking, that's a problem. That's a problem. And OnlyFans is in big trouble here because a MasterCard spokesperson said the company did not directly pressure OnlyFans to change policy and only found out about the decision through media coverage. I wonder if the Taliban is able to find things through media coverage. What do you think? It's a decision they came to themselves, said Seth Eielson, a communications executive for MasterCard, MasterCard, Visa, and Discover, which are also payment partners of OnlyFans. did not respond to a request for comment. Stripe, which OnlyFans uses for payments to creators for non-adult content, as Stripe explicitly bans adult activity video recordings or other obscene content, declined to comment. So this is one of those situations where the banking industry, of course, wants to ensure that sites aren't producing content with underage people, or that people are being coerced, manipulated into doing this type of activity, and or if the activity they're doing is legal. And of course, there's obvious reasons to protect people who may be subjected to that sort of trafficking, enslavement type activity. And that content was on these platforms as well. But like Patreon, for example, they do not allow adult activity to an extent on their platforms. So it was really to cut down on that. But as I just mentioned, Lauren Southern and Carl Benjamin were removed from Patreon because of something Carl said years ago. And he was simply giving people an illustration, right? He was illustrating something. And then Lauren was in trouble. She was down in Morocco when they were covering all of the immigrants from the Northern Africa. They were going into Italy. And I think she like shot a flare or something like that to indicate to the patrol boats where these people were, and they tried to say that the flare was dangerous and was being shot at to endanger the dinghy divers, as they call them, I believe. Then, of course, you know, Enrique Tarrio, the Afro-American chair of the Proud Boys, was kicked off of Wells Fargo? I think, no, or Chase. I think Laura Loomer was kicked off of Chase. Laura Loomer was kicked off Wells Fargo, and Enrique was kicked off of Chase, I believe, were the institutions. But, of course, the OnlyFans people will be now reinstated, so they'll be able to continue on with their work. And, you know, if you're, you know, they're grown people. They can make a decision to do whatever it is that they want. That's their business. And, that, you know, they are working. It does take an effort to produce content, as I know, as I am a content creator. I don't know if I'd ever resort to this level of content creation. And probably no one would desire for any of that to be shown anyway. But I digress immediately, as quickly as possible. Stay alive, Joe Biden. I don't know, Joe Biden, not looking good for good old Joe. The establishment appointed surrogate President Joe Biden, not looking good for him. And it's going to be wild to see what happens. I mean, I can almost see Kamala Harris taking the seat. She'll be appointed, by the way. She would have never been elected. She would have been appointed, because most of the things that the establishment does, the Democrats do, is contrived anyway. It's all about optics and superficiality, popularity, these sorts of things, because they lose their minds when things like when Joe Biden or any Democrats' approval goes down. Oh, they lose their minds, because the Democrats love their superficiality, they love their popularity contest, and they love their influence. And as of yesterday, Cuomo went out with a whimper. As I understand it today, I just saw a tweet that they took away his Emmy. So anyway, guys, that's what I have for you this week.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. Below this video, you can find the various links to my social media, so make sure you avail yourselves to those, as I do daily post on there. And of course, for all of you guys that are hanging in there as I do more gaming video shorts, I try not to send out notifications for that, but I do enjoy putting those out. I've got gigs and gigs of them. Of course, as you know, the channel was originally made for gaming. But nonetheless, guys, appearing right there on the screen, that would be the channel icon for YouTube, which you can click on, of course, if you're on YouTube, and then notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel, as well as additional content that has been recently put out. And I'll see you guys right there behind that camera next week.